to NTV News First Edition. It happened 673 days ago. The World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a global pandemic. Well, during the days, months, and nearly years since then, we've seen lockdowns, circuit breakers, mask mandates, vaccinations, and now boosters. Multiple waves and variants have kept many of us working and learning from home. And to say it's been stressful would certainly be an understatement. What many people seem to be feeling right now is anger. Well, joining me to tell us why we may be feeling angry is Dr. Janine Hubbard with this week's edition of Get Psyched with Dr. Janine. Great to see you again.
As always, wow, that is quite the saga we have gone through and the emotional roller coaster we have gone through. No question. And we are, if you start asking around, there's a lot of people who are almost being caught off guard by having unexpected anger reactions and just not realizing how much pent-up anger is inside them. And then when you stop to look back and reflect, it actually does make a lot of sense. As I said, we have had such the emotional roller coaster going through this process. But what's happening now is we have a lot of people who, in many ways, are almost feeling, well, grief for sure, but almost betrayed because they're at a stage of saying, I have done everything you asked me to do. I've gotten all of my vaccines. I've kept my distance. I've suffered through having my kids at home trying to teach them while I've been juggling everything else. I've missed family weddings and funerals and vacations. And now you're telling me that really there's no end in sight and that the odds of me now contracting this are fairly high. It makes sense. People are feeling betrayed. And the problem is, and sometimes we don't even realize it, it's where do you put that anger? Where do you put that betrayal? We can't get mad at the virus. As much as, I've done stuff with kids where we've drawn pictures of it and torn it up and stomped on it and, trying to express our anger, it unfortunately is now coming out. Sometimes it's being targeted at politicians and officials making healthcare policy. Sometimes it's being directed at healthcare professionals. Our poor frontline clerks, like the folks working the grocery store or in line at the pharmacy, are getting the brunt of a lot of this. And one of the main reasons I wanted to highlight this is, unfortunately, we are also seeing it in our homes with our family members. And this is why it's so important to kind of check where your emotions are, because what's been happening is we have all these little micro stressors. It's not a big thing each day, but so many little things are happening. And something we know from the stress research is it's very often not something big that's going to set you off. It's you've had stressor after stressor after stressor, and you break your shoelace on the way out the door, and kind of your world collapses. We've all done it. And that's what's happening now, is we are having a lot of those shoelace moments, and they're catching us off guard because it is a disproportionate reaction to breaking your shoelace or getting annoyed because somebody's taking too long in line ahead of you. But it's the accumulation of all of those stressors that we've been experiencing.
I'm just ticking the boxes as you're speaking. I think everyone is feeling this way. So what can we do about it? Because people don't want to go around being angry all the time.
No, we don't. So the first step is, this is why we're talking about it today. It's so important to do a little bit of a self-check and go, how am I feeling right now? Because, like I say, we're being caught off guard because that's not necessarily an emotional reaction to COVID that we've been used to having. So kind of checking it and going, oh no, actually that does really describe kind of how I'm feeling. And then step back. Big breath, we taught those last week, but really take a look at your self-care routines and the more opportunities you can have to take a pause before responding or saying something, particularly online. People are extra sensitive at the moment, and when you're feeling in a heightened state and you're tempted to post something on Twitter, please pause, write it, don't post it. Give yourself some time for some reflection. Same thing if you're standing in line and you're really annoyed at something that's happening. Take a deep breath. Remember, again, people, that person in the cashier's line, they're stressed, they're tired, they're scared, they're short-staffed, and in a lot of cases at the moment, people are being asked to do jobs that aren't their regular positions, and maybe they're not as efficient at it. So have that patience. Take a look again at your self-coping skills. Be mindful that things like alcohol consumption can lead to increased impulsivity and aggression in many cases. Check in with your surroundings. If you have an immediate family member who is expressing a lot of outward anger and emotion, certainly check in with them, but also make sure you and your children are safe, because I am concerned about those outbursts right at the moment.
Well, Dr. Hubbard, we are unfortunately out of time, but thank you so much for being here. You've made me feel better. I'm sure you've made a lot of people across our province feel better, or at least able to recognize those little signs of anger that we've all been feeling. So thank you so much for that. We'll see you again next week.
Absolutely. Big breaths, everybody.